Yeah, of course, man.
All right. Hi, everyone. Hi, Miss Carmini and fellow graders. My name is Lucas Schnatz, as you guys know, and this is going to be my intercultural communications interview with my friend Rogelio. Rogelio, will you introduce yourself and where you're from?
Hello, I'm Rogelio. I'm from California. My parents are from Mexico, and I was raised most of my life uh, right there in Mexico City.
All right, very well then. Thank you for sharing that with us, Rogelio. So I'll just go ahead and dive into the interview questions so we can learn a little bit more about your culture and basically like what growing up was like for you.
Yeah, of course.
First off, what do you identify as the most important or distinctive practice of your culture?
I think the most important practice in my culture is the culture around our family because here on the US, when a kid turns 18, they usually go to rent an apartment or have roommates or things like that. But in Mexico, we don't do that. We stay with our parents from like until 25, 26 because we love our family and we just leave when we are going to get married or we want to be independent, but usually we stay with them. And I think it's really cute. Well, at least in my point of view, because I love my family and it's the most important thing in my life, and it's something of my culture that I really appreciate.
Very well then. And then does religion play any kind of a key role in your culture?
I would say because most Mexicans are Catholic, including myself. And we go on Sundays to church and everything, and it I think it has to do something with that about the family because since it's a family thing that we all go to church, we I think we make a strong bond with all of us, and I think that's pretty much why.
That's really interesting. I'm actually learning a lot because like I don't know anything about like Hispanic culture or anything like that. But with that being said, you said a lot has to do with family. There's not really much individualism. Everyone likes living multi-generationally, correct? How do gender roles kind of play a part in your culture? Like, for example, like how are they like addressed? Like, what are the roles that like each family member has in the household?
Well, I think it's really traditional that parents go to work, the mom stays and take care of the children. But I think because of the modern times, it's starting to change a little bit, and the mom is starting to work too, so they both help each other. But it's being honest, it's really traditional, like the average family here, the dad goes to work, the mom stays with the kids.
Hmm.
So yeah.
No, yeah, so it's very traditional. Men are like providers or like workers for say, then moms are like meant to like care. So like that's kind of like the woman and man role between the genders.
Yeah, yeah, pretty much.
Okay, okay. Pretty traditional. And then my next question for you is about social power and authority. So of course in America, it goes like traditionally like parents, and then above that would be like police, and then so on and so forth, or maybe even like mentors like teachers. Will you kind of elaborate what like the social power or like social role like hierarchy was for you growing up in Mexico?
I think it's pretty much like you described. It's parent, then teacher, then police, and everything. But in my case, I would say I always take more attention for my parents than a teacher or a police officer. So in the hierarchy of people, like, to say this in some way. I will say my parents are at the top, but if we go traditional or by law, it's obviously a police officer or a judge or, some high figure. But personally, I would say my parents are the highest authority for me.
Okay. And then in relation to that, does like age play a factor in that hierarchy as well? Like, for example, like you said, like, of course, personally, it goes your parents above all else. But would your parents, your grandparents, because of their age, brings a certain level of respect there to your culture or no?
Yeah, but actually, yeah, because like I said earlier. the family is something really important. And well, for me, it's my parents, but for my parents are, well, they parents or my grandfathers. So I have to respect them. And I didn't live with my parents. I just visit them. But if we live together, I would say that they will be the higher um, hierarchy, and then my parents. So yeah, pretty much we go by age to show
Okay.
respect.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that's really interesting because in America, a lot of people are getting divorced and a lot of people are living in like separate houses. So just knowing and understanding that Hispanic culture is still really traditional and tight-knitted with their family is something that's really interesting for me as an American. My next question for you, this is one of the last ones. What is the role of like honor or shame in your culture? Like for instance, how is like honor and pride in relation to dishonor and shame, important concepts of your culture? Like basically like how are people like how do you show honor in your culture, but also how are people like dishonored? Like what are like those things? Like is it kind of not following like the social hierarchy like you described? Or like what kind of like is like frowned upon in your culture that like you don't do? But what is like considered a good thing to do in your culture that will receive you like a lot of praise? Like what are the expectations?
Well, pretty much the expectations are that you go to college and graduate and have a good job. That's pretty much. And to dishonor in my culture, it's pretty much related to family too, because you have a name and a last name. And if you do something bad that gets you to jail, there's your name and your last name, and people that live around you, like for example, let's say in apartments, you knew that that people from the fifth floor committed a crime, and oh, their last name is Torres or something, and oh, that's the Torres family that did something wrong. So that's how it works in Mexico. We get a lot of shame if we do something bad, and we we get uh, we get repercussions in our last name. And well, pretty much, and to bring honor, like I said, just have graduate, bring have a good job, just do something, do the things right, and well, your families. It's pretty much around it that I think now
So
that I think about
basically,
it.
So it basically sounds like that a lot of the honor that comes from the Hispanic culture, at least the one that you were exposed to, comes to what you contribute to your family and whether it's good
Pretty
or bad.
much.
So basically, like if you poorly contribute to your family, it's shameful, frowned upon, and like kind of dishonors your family, right?
Yeah, yeah, pretty much, and not only to your family, but in the long term, your uncles, your nephews, your cousins, like because the family is really connected. I know nephews that I have like from that live, I don't know, far away from at like another country, like Canada or I have some cousins in Canada, and I know them. I know they exist. They know me, and if I did something wrong, for example, they will know it. And if we meet in person, they will tell me that what I did, why did I did that. So if you do something wrong, it's not only around your family or where you live. It's like all your family knows it.
That's really interesting. I didn't even look at it from that kind of perspective. Like, of course, like being in Arizona for most of my life, like I was like exposed to a little bit of Hispanic culture, but not enough to like really know and understand how like honor and shame really like play like a key role in like how you guys carry yourselves. So that's really interesting to kind of hear and just be informed about. With that being said, I don't think I have any more additional questions for you. I just want to go ahead and thank you for your time. It was
Of
really
course.
interesting hearing, especially since you are my friend and a fellow Canyon Rising scholar. It was just really interesting hearing about like how you were born in Cali, grew up in Mexico, which I already knew, but then how like you coming back here, the kind of like cultural differences that we can compare and contrast. So overall, it's been enlightening. So thank you, Virgilio, for kind of helping me out with this interview here today. Okay.
Yeah, of course. Anytime.
All
Anytime,
right.
man.
Thank you, sir.